morality, like then it comes down to like prove it's there, and like and maybe even prove, maybe first you'd have to prove the God's there that it's coming from, that if it's based on that, like
If you can give me one example, if you can give me
like
one example of objective morality, I'll be impressed.
every time I've heard a Christian argue it, they always say like, well, it's inside you, you know when you do something wrong, and it's like, well, wait a minute, that's just a me measuring up against my own code. Everybody has a different one. Like now that's the subjective one. That's
Right,
not, you're
right,
pointing in the wrong direction there.
right.
Yeah, that they always. I mean, they don't. I've never heard ever anything presented that's evidence of an objective morality. Everything that I've ever heard from Christians about an objective morality is always an individual's subjective morality. Maybe that is somehow their the God's there that it's coming of the objective one. It makes no sense. The other thing I've heard is just the Bible. Well, we know it's because it's from God, so it has to be objective.
The funny thing is, every fucking thing he says in the Bible is purely easily something we can arrive at without that jerk.
I mean, actually, I'd say most of it is not even moral. I mean, it's like he condones genocide and rape, and I mean, you can sell your daughter as a sex slave, and you have to do it at this price.
Really?
So,
Really?
yeah, like there's the price that you can sell your daughter into as a sex slave is set in stone. You have to sell it at that price.
That's in the Old Testament?
Yeah.
You remember where? I'm having a hard time with that one.
I mean,
I've heard them rationalize the slavery thing 8 ways from Sunday, which almost starts to sound like it's reasonable.
As a matter of fact, if the first guy that rapes your daughter, you get to sell her to him.
Well, so all is not lost.
You get 30 pieces of silver, I think.
Yeah, but I could walk with that. I never liked the bitch anyway.
Silver is up right now. That might be like $1,000.
There you go.
But
she just laid around the house anyway. She wasn't doing shit. Get rid of her.
I mean, yeah, but he never goes to the Bible in this. He uses that stuff, the stuff listed here, as God as a basis for that. And they really don't even get past the first one, the laws of logic. They pretty much stay right around there. No, he brings up the cosmos thing too, but it's mostly wrapped around this. And I actually think Aron gets this kind of wrong too. The laws. I think everybody I've ever seen argue about the laws of logic. People seem to think the laws of logic are a thing that exists, like it's a force in the universe that keeps things obeying logic or something. I don't know.
The laws of logic really is a work in progress no matter what, and it's always
no, it's not. That's the word there. That's done.
Well, it's honed by critical thinking, and
no. You're not familiar with the laws of logic. The basic laws of logic are done. Like that's A is always A and is never not A.
Oh, right? That's logic, a blockhead logic.
I mean, it's just the laws. Logic is basically.
You mean reality? You mean reality? There's no debate as far as A equals A, and
it's something. First of all, I'm going to say this: it's something that we have gleaned a priori. That is, which is similar to math in that way, right? Like 1 + 1 is 2. And that is something that is just a fact. It's proven. It's self-proving. You don't have to have any other outside evidence to prove it. It's just a fact as it is. It proves itself, right? And that's something we do in our head in concepts. It doesn't exist in reality. I mean, you can have 1 apple + 1 apple and have 2 apples, but the concept 1 by itself doesn't exist. The 1 apple might exist, but it's an apple. It's not a 1. So so logic is something we establish a priori. It basically proves itself. It's almost like a math for language. It's a way. It's something that we have observed as a relationship between language and concepts and thoughts, between all that and reality. It's it it's a way of being able to tell if a concept or a claim or a particular language set matches with reality.
Right.
Because
I mean,
if it's internally illogical and contradictory, then it's not going to map to reality. And that's basically what logic functions as, is a it's a method for testing whether or not statements are true.
well, even logic has to be proved out by experience. If somebody tells you 1 plus 1 is 2, you actually have to go and see that that's the case before you say, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I agree. It like that kind of goes with what I'm saying. Like that's because math doesn't necessarily exist out in the world. It's like
when you say a priori, it's almost like logic exists before anything else.
no, a priori is what you just described. Like it's something you glean mentally, but it's not a thing that exists. A priori means like you're doing it in your head, right? You're doing it before there's ever any
By experience. If somebody tells you
it doesn't come before your experience in reality. Like obviously you've got to have those experiences to even come up with concepts like math and learn them. But um but it's something you deduce in your head before there's necessarily evidence of it out in the world. There's not there's not anything out in the world that taught math to humans. You know what I mean? We came up with it in our head.
or it actually the truth of it existed, and your head just found that there's where the truth is. And here's the definition.
I don't see truth is not a thing that exists. You say the truth of it existed. Like I don't. I'm trying to be real technical here because that's if you don't, then it's hard to highlight the problem in this video that this guy's having. But math doesn't exist it exists in our head, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm tempted to say
Like
that.
things in the world that will follow mathematical principles.
See,
But
look. What I'm tempted to want to say is, before anything else, before anybody says anything, it's already true that 1 plus 1 equals 2. It's just that we haven't said it yet.
yeah, that's true. That's true. The logic is the same in that way. But that doesn't mean it exists, right? It's not.
Well, the truth of it exists. The truth of it
The
exists.
truth of it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it does.
It may be true. It's not a thing that exists, though. It's not even capable of existing in any form other than a thought. Like the reason why
it exists as a concept and not an object. Simple.
yeah, the reason why um, it's still true, even though there's not a mind to think it, is because that's the way the universe functions. The universe will follow mathematical principles, but the problem that, like, the reason why I want to hammer home this idea that it doesn't exist is because that creates, if you fall into that creates a situation where people think that math is almost like a power or a force in the universe that's making things follow the mathematical principles, and that's not how it works.
Right.
There are forces in the universe. There's gravity and there's the weak force and the strong force. There are real forces that exist in the universe, and things that exist that make things be the way they are. Those same forces make things follow the laws of logic too, because it's those forces that keep an apple being an apple, right? So even though logic is true even without a mind, and the universe follows the laws of logic, the laws of logic don't actually exist and have an effect on anything, if that makes sense.
It illustrates, the reality illustrates the laws of logic. Can you say that?
I said, I mean, reality continues to abide by the laws of logic.
Yeah.
It has no, it wouldn't, it can't function any other way. That's the way it is. But it's not the laws of logic that are making it that way.
Right. I get you. It's not one before the other. Reality tells
See,
you.
that's why, like when you say that they're still true, like even without a mind in the universe, they're still true. Like the statement "they're still true."
It's because of physical reality.
No, hold on. The statement that they're still true, even without a mind. That statement itself is language, right?
Yeah.
And like I said before, logic is like the connection between language and reality. It's like it's the way we map our language to reality. So according to logic, that statement would map to reality. And that statement would still map to reality even if there was nobody there to say it.
Right. Yeah, I've been saying that. We've all been saying that.
Anyway, but yeah, I think Aron actually fails on that. I think he kind of gets near it. I think a little bit sometimes. I think he has a better grasp of it than this Tyler Vela guy. But
so does this sound like a decent definition of a priori relating to the reasoning or knowledge which proceeds from theoretical deduction rather than from observation or experience? That's the definition.
I mean,
is there a problem with that?
That's true in a way. I think they are kind of. That's not it's not the best wording because you can have experiences that start the ball rolling, but in another sense, you're still kind of deducing it. Like two apples sitting on a table don't prove 1 + 1 = 2 unless you first have a mind that is attributing one, a count of that first apple, an account of that second apple, and then adding the two together. Like it's not.
Here's two conflicting definitions, all in the same one by Merriam-Webster.
Okay.
ABC. Let's see. Presupposed by experience, and then it'll go on to say, for a different way of looking at it, being without examination or analysis, presumptive. That almost sounds like two different things being said, no?
Yeah, I think one of those is a more colloquial use. The first one is what I'm thinking. Like, you can deduce it without an experience.
Well, it's saying presupposed by experience.
I mean, this is something that is not necessarily evidential in the world. When you learn math, you're doing it on paper.
Well, that's where the second one is more close to what you're saying. Being without examination or analysis, presumptive.
No, because
it's true without examining it.
I think a priori is kind of just like before. So I think the first one matches better, but
presupposed by experience.
That wasn't the first one.
Yes, it was. And then the second one is being without examination or analysis, presumptive.
Oh, both of those are probably not what I'm going for then.
Formed or conceived beforehand.
Yeah, beforehand. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's before experience, it would seem.
Yeah. Like you can learn 1 + 1 = 2
without ever seeing anything.
Yeah.
And then they throw in the term somewhere, why I don't know why in this thing. Compare a posteriori. Have you heard that one?
Maybe I shouldn't have used the term a priori. They're axiomatic. Is that they're self-proving.
Okay.
It's kind of like existence exists. If that's a thing, I don't need any. It's not like a lot. I've noticed a lot of people are quick to take something like that and go, "Well, that's circular." Like you've got to, because like if I tell you a claim and you're questioning it, you want proof of it, I've got to show you some evidence outside of just the claim itself. I can't refer back to my claim to prove that my claim is true. So when I say existence proves existence, like it proves itself, people are sometimes quick to be like, well, that's circular, but it's not because it's an axiomatic one.
Wait, hold time out. I just want you to hear this. The other expression, which is a posteriori. Are you familiar with that? Posterior, like your rear end.
Yeah, that would be after.
Yeah, well, it says relating to or derived by reasoning from observed facts. Compare a priori. So in other words, a priori, I think you're doing it without an observation. You can do it without actually observing anything. Whereas here, you're actually seeing it demonstrated, and that's why it's easy to say. Whereas if the other one is a mental exercise, I don't know. We're getting semantic anyway.
How did you spell it? Relating to or denoting a reasoning or knowledge which proceeds from the theoretical deduction rather than from observation or experience. Yeah. It's kind of weird. It's kind of like I wish there was a better way to say that because math is one that is a.
You just read which definition was that? It has to be a priori, right?
That's a priori, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Like I said, like math is proven a priori.
Yeah.
You don't need anything in reality to prove it. It proves itself. And that's why I said I don't. That when they say which proceeds from theoretical deduction rather than observation, it could still proceed from observation.
I just want to tell you something interesting. In school, they're trying to connect learning math with physical reality. And these poor slobs now have to actually start, juggling beads and
yeah.
things. You know what I mean? Actually,
hey, there's my keto buddy. How are you?
I had to do it when I was in school.
Yeah, so that's actually bridging the gap and going from a priori to a posteriori.
And then for dinner, I just made 2 eggs and then
bridging the gap. Right?
I missed some of what you said because you were being talked over there.
Well, what was that noise I heard? What was that woman talking?
That was Lady Stardust.
Huh. Where is
she? She's on another call with Scaff, who just left his computer on or something. I don't know. Anyway, I muted him. But what I was trying to say is I don't like how they say. I don't like.
You heard what I said, right? She didn't talk over it, did she? You heard what I said, right? She didn't talk over it, did she?
No, I missed part of what you said. That's
what I'm just saying. It's interesting in school. I think you already agreed.
Yeah, I did the beads when I was a kid.
Yeah, so that's actually crossing from a priori to a posteriori, right? Now you're actually seeing it demonstrated.
Well, this is why I don't like this definition. It says.
All right, we spent enough time on these definitions.
Let me finish. Reasoning or knowledge which proceeds from theoretical deduction rather than observation or experience. Now, the thing is math is proven that way. Right. But you could actually come up with it through observation and experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a posteriori.
They've observed the theory of relativity in space. Okay, so go ahead.
I mean, you can come up with the concepts through observation and experience, but math is proven through theoretical deduction. It's not proven in like I guess you can kind of do both with math.
Yeah, you can do both. I just
Yeah.
told you the theory of relativity was proven by a cosmological event in space that they photographed. Hey,
Well, plus, like
go
I'm
ahead.
just saying, like two apples. If I have one, I mean one apple and another apple. I don't actually. I shouldn't say that because having an apple and then having another apple isn't necessarily math. You're doing math in your head. So
Math
it's still,
represents the real world. The real world represents math. It goes both ways.
yeah, but that representation is just going on in your head.
Okay,
The
what,
math
whatever,
isn't
whatever you
happening.
say. Hey, could Steph go to her Facebook and just look at the message that was sent?
I already did. She already did.
Okay, 6 weeks ago. Did you find her name?
No, she deleted it.
She deleted it. So there's no inbox and there's no outbox message
Um,
because you send her messages too. I'm just saying, just check because
it's not
my
an
attorney.
email. It's not an email. It's Facebook.
Yeah, I know, but it's a Facebook sent message and a Facebook in message. There's a sent message and an inbox. It's the same as email. At least I thought
Not,
so. I don't know.
not in my Facebook. It's just a messenger, and you click their name, and it has all your messages.
Well,
It's a-
can you just sign into her? Tell her to sign into her Facebook and type in Middlebury because that girl's name should pop up. Just
She
like
we already tried.
okay, so why were they all deleted though?
All right. I don't know what they're talking about. They're talking about something totally different. But I'm going to just wait until they have finished their little private conversation. And at that time, we'll be able to carry on talking about Aron Ra. But I was talking to Outbound before we started streaming this hangout. And I essentially posed this to him. I said, if Aron Ra is falsifying God with Tyler Vela, who is a Christian, then my expectation at the end of the discussion between them, conversation between them, would be that Tyler Vela emerges from that an atheist. And Outbound, who has already listened to this and watched it, actually told me that no, Tyler Vela was not convinced at the end of it. So, wow, I kind of wonder if Aron Ra can't turn anyone around. Then what does it take? I think it takes people watching Aron Ra's I'm sorry, I got noise in the background, but Aron Ra's series on evolution. That should change anybody's mind. Unfortunately, we have a private conversation going on in the background, so the hangout has to come to an end. I'm going to cut it short pretty quick. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I will be back. This will be continued as soon as the private conversation has come to an end. Rabbi Sidney Winston.